Imagine a disease so deadly it wipes out 60% of an entire continent's population in just a few years. This was the reality of Europe during the 14th century with the arrival of the Black Death. Originating from the east, the plague made its grand entrance into Europe in 1347, hitching a ride on merchant ships. These vessels, unknowingly, were carrying more than just goods and spices. They were also transporting death. The disease began to spread like wildfire, fueled by the unsanitary conditions and high population density that characterized the cities of the time. Close living quarters, poor hygiene, and a lack of understanding about disease transmission created a perfect storm for the Black Death to thrive. By the end of 1347, the Black Death had taken a firm grip on Europe, marking the beginning of a dark chapter in the continent's history. The Black Death was not just an epidemic, it was a catastrophe of biblical proportions. It was a merciless killer that gripped Europe in the 14th century, showing no mercy to any who stood in its path. The disease itself was a horrifying spectacle. The bubonic plague, as it was known, caused symptoms that were nothing short of nightmarish. Victims would first experience fever, chills, and weakness before their bodies became battlegrounds of agonizing pain. Swollen lymph nodes, or buboes, would appear, often turning black as death itself. This was a disease that did not just kill, it tortured its victims before it claimed their lives. The mortality rate of the Black Death was terrifyingly high. It's estimated that between 30 and 60% of Europe's population was wiped out within just a few years. We are talking about tens of millions of people, an unimaginable scale of loss that left no corner of the continent untouched. This high death toll had a profound impact on society. Labor shortages were widespread, as fields lay fallow and businesses shuttered. The economy was thrown into chaos as trade routes were disrupted and cities were abandoned. But perhaps the most profound impact was the fear. The Black Death was an unseen enemy, striking down the young, the old, the rich, and the poor with equal ferocity. This fear led to desperation, and desperation often turns to blame. Minority groups, particularly Jews, were often scapegoated and persecuted, accused of poisoning wells or spreading the disease. Religion, too, took on a new significance. As people searched for meaning in the face of such suffering, religious fervor increased. Some saw the plague as divine punishment, leading to a surge in piety, while others turned to prayer and penance in hopes of salvation. The Black Death was more than a disease. It was a force that reshaped society, redefined relationships, and restructured economies. It was a cataclysm that brought about a new world order. In the face of such overwhelming loss, Europe was forever changed. The Black Death was a disaster of unparalleled magnitude, but from its ashes rose a new Europe. As we delve into the aftermath and legacy of the Black Death, we find that the pestilence that wiped out nearly 1/3 of Europe's population in the 14th century also triggered seismic shifts in the societal structure. The severe labor shortages brought about by the mass mortality saw the balance of economic power tilt away from the nobility and towards the peasantry. The scarcity of workers meant that those who survived could demand higher wages and better working conditions. This shift in economic power marked the beginning of the end for the feudal system that had dominated Europe for centuries. In tandem with these economic changes, the Black Death also sparked the rise of the merchant class. With the nobility weakened and the peasantry empowered, the middle classes capitalized on the new economic landscape. They seized opportunities to trade and amass wealth, which in turn boosted commerce and spurred the growth of towns and cities. But the Black Death didn't just reshape Europe's social and economic structures. It also left an indelible mark on the continent's cultural and artistic landscape. The sheer scale of death and devastation gave rise to macabre themes in art and literature. Artists and writers sought to express the horror and fear that had gripped society, resulting in a proliferation of grim and grotesque imagery. This fascination with mortality, known as the dance macabre, became a recurring theme in European culture. The Black Death left a deep scar on Europe, but it also paved the way for major societal and cultural shifts. In conclusion, the Black Death was not just a disease, it was a turning point in history, a catalyst for change. It serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of human life and the profound impact of disease on society. Thank you for tuning in today. Subscribe for more mysterious and historical content.